that, closing the cursor. Again we are opening the cursor 50. Now we are using cursor for loop, displaying the data because it is already committed, it's already updated and committed. The updated data we wanted to see. When we execute this, old values and new values, because we are opening it for 50 only, department number 50, only that record will come. This is new values and these are old values. Old are this one, new are this one. So we are using for the first one normal loop, second one for loop. It's up to us, it's up to you. You can take a decision which type of loop I wanted to use. Cursor attributes. Cursor attributes. As of now, we have seen one attribute, which is not found. Similarly, cursor has 4 attributes: is open, found, not found, row count. These are the 4 attributes of cursor available in PL/SQL. See, type and row type, these are the 2 PL/SQL attributes. In the same way, the cursor also has its own attributes. They are is open, found, not found, and row count. All these are single words. There is no space in between anywhere. Now let us see one by one. What is each attribute? Is open. This attribute specifies whether the cursor is opened or not. So, if we use cursor name %row type, %is open before opening the cursor, it is false. If we use C1% is open after opening the cursor, it is true. And if we use this before closing the cursor, it is true. After closing the cursor, it is false. That is open is true after open and before close. Is open is false before open and after close. So the data type of is open is Boolean, true or false. Next, found. The data type of found is also Boolean, so it can take 2 values, true or false, even null also. Boolean will take 3 values, true, false, null. Now, found. This will work based on the fetch statement. If the latest fetch returns a record, then found is true. If the latest fetch does not return a record or does not found a record, then found is false. So found will work within the cursor, that is open and close of the cursor. If the latest fetch statement returns a record, found is true. It doesn't return a record, found is false. The next, not found. This is opposite to found. If the latest fetch returns a record, not found is false. If it does not return a record, not found is true. So both are opposite to each other. The data type of not found is also Boolean. So this will take 3 values, true, false, and null. Row count. The data type of row count is numeric. It's number. It is not Boolean. So the output could be 0 or positive integer 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on. So this can be used with cursor name, percent, row count. Usage of these attributes without opening the cursor is invalid or false, or after closing the cursor or before opening the cursor, it is invalid usage or the value is false. So we should always use these attributes between open cursor and close cursor, that is after opening the cursor and before closing the cursor. But these attributes can be used either inside the loop or outside the loop, anywhere. If you are using normal cursor loop, either before the loop or inside the loop or after the loop, wherever you want you can use it, but it should be after opening the cursor and before closing the cursor, not before opening the cursor and not after closing the cursor. Now if we use, what will be the row count, the value of row count? This will give the total number of rows fetched so far, total number of rows fetched till now from the beginning. That will be the output of row count. If we use this row count attribute inside the loop, then the result varies. The result will be multiple. This multiple depends on the number of rows of the cursor. If the cursor's select statement is fetching 10 rows, then the row count will give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1 to 10. Because when the loop is executing first time, it has fetched one record, so row count is 1. When the loop is repeated for the second time, it has fetched one record in the previous iteration, one more record in the current iteration. So 1 plus 1, it is 2. That is, total number of rows fetched so far is 2. So row count will give 2. When the loop is executed third time, so previously 2 records and now 1 record. So total 3 records. So row count will give 3. So on it will continue. If we use the row count inside the loop. If we use the row count outside the loop, that is before opening the loop or after closing the loop. If we use row count before opening the loop, it has not fetched anything so far. In the first attempt, it will give 0. First attempt it will give 0. Second attempt it will give 1. Third attempt it will give 2, 3, 4, like that. So the output will be 0 to 9. If it is before the loop. Inside the loop, 1 to 10. If you use row count after closing the loop, that is after end loop. So the loop has iterated 10 times or 11 times. Total number of rows fetched is 10. So the row count will give only one record as output. The result will be 10 now. Because it has fetched totally 10 records so far. So the result is 10 in case of row count. So this is the functionality of each cursor's attribute. So is open, found, not found. The data types of these 3 attributes is Boolean. The data type of row count is integer, which is positive integer, 0 or positive number. It will not give any negative number or it will not give any fractional number. So row count will give the total number of rows fetched so far. Is open will say whether the cursor is opened or closed. Found will give true or false based on the fetch statement. Not found also will give the true or false value based on the fetch statement. If the latest fetch returns a record, fetch is true, found is true, not found is false. If the latest fetch does not return a record, found is false, not found is true. If we use row count before the loop, in the first iteration it gives 0. Inside the loop, in the first iteration it gives 1. After the loop, the first iteration it has only one iteration, it gives 1. If the loop has total 10 iterations, then if we use row count before opening the loop, it will give 0 to 9. Inside the loop, it will give 0 to 1 to 10. After the loop, after closing the loop, it will just give one value as 10. So, after the loop, it will give just 10. Inside the loop, 1 to 10. Before the loop, it starts with 0. I think it will go up to 10. Yes. Because 10 plus 1, 11th time it will try to execute. No, we are using before opening the loop, so it will give 0 only one record, not 0 to 9. It just give 0, because when loop is repeated, the first statement, the row count before the loop will not be executed. So if you use before the loop, it will give one record as 0. After the loop, it will give one record as the total number of records of the cursor. Inside the loop, it will give 1 to the maximum number of records in the cursor. This will be the functionality of row count.